Welcome back to my channel, Sunshine Shoulders. I'm Calvin. Thank y'all so much for stopping by today. I got a very, very special guest, my big brother, Dr. George Moorman. If you've been following me for any considerable period of time, you've heard me speak about him and his story of redemption. Welcome to the Sunshine Shoulders community, brother.
Hey, little brother.
How old are you right now?
Right now I'm 73.
73. Now, he looks just like my father. We got the same father. We didn't grow up in the same household, but we're still brothers. We've never did that stepbrother thing, have we?
Right.
We don't believe in that. But how many degrees do you have, by the way?
I have 5. I have a bachelor's and master's in social work, a master's in public health, a master's in rehab counseling, and a PhD in educational psychology.
You haven't always been Dr. George Moorman.
Oh, no. Before that, a drug addict. I was on drugs for 25 years. The last 10, crackhead. Addicted to a $300 a day crack habit.
$300 a day. How were you, what's the word I want to use? How were you supporting that habit?
Well, I shoplifted to support my habit. And of course, you spend a whole lot of time in and out of jail. And I went through those institutions, and I amassed 33 charges, 19 convictions, and 8 felonies.
Wow. Now, I know that since then, though, you've had your charges expunged.
Yes, I received a pardon from the governor, Ernest Fletcher, in 2007 by the state of Kentucky.
Wow.
That's after receiving numerous awards for doing work in the community, and then the governor gave me the governor's award for volunteerism after I did something like 15,000 hours in the community, cleaning up what I messed up, basically.
Now, y'all heard me talk about my walk from Louisville, Kentucky to Lexington, Kentucky. Well, he helped me set it up. He got the sponsors and everything like that. This guy's been in the community ever since, right?
Right.
But what I want to say before I forget, they were talking about how America, we're consumer junkies. And the tariffs are going to raise the price of everything, but we're going to still buy it. So as a recovering crackhead, if they raise the price of crack, would crackheads stop smoking crack?
No, they find a way to get it. What's going to raise is the level of activity required to secure that dope.
Yeah. Now, where were you born?
Lexington, Kentucky.
You got any sisters and brothers?
Well, besides you all, those at home with my mother, have a couple of brothers deceased. Then I have a brother Raymond and sister Vicky, and then, of course, you and Freddie, Gregory, Kim, Terry, Cooley, JoJo, Jackie, Wilma. Yep.
Now, you're writing a book on your life right now. What's the name of the book?
It's called Never Too Late to Be Great. From the crack house to the schoolhouse, from a disgrace to amazing grace.
And how far into the book have you?
Well, I have 20 chapters.
How old were you when you received your PhD?
Let me see, I was 54. Yeah, 54 years old.
And what inspired you to go to school? I mean, because evidently you started college. Most people start college right out of high school. You basically went back to school. How old were you?
I was 44. I went to Vietnam, then I came home and tried to go to college, but I was kind of messed up in the head, and so I flunked out, and then I came back later when I was 44 years old, after I recovered somewhat from my drug addiction. And then, the reason why I did was I had amassed a bunch of charges on my record from shoplifting to support my habit. And so when I looked at that, I needed a way to tell the real me. That was not the real me. That was the real me in a abnormal situation. But I didn't want that to be the end of the story.
Your legacy.
So I had to create a new legacy. So I went back to school.
So you fought in the Vietnam War.
Yes.
You were actually boots on the ground in Vietnam.
Yes.
How old were you when you went to
I
Vietnam?
was 19 years old. I just turned 19 in February of 71. And then in August of 71, I was in Vietnam. So I'd only been 6 months, 19 years old.
Did you come under any enemy fire there?
Yes, several times. I was with the 2nd, 32nd Hit and Run Artillery. So we just ran around the country shooting, then go to another location and fire the guns, and then another. And so the guns that we had were doing damage, so we were always targeted. You know, and they never got close enough to where they could actually do damage to us because of the people that were in front of us that prevented that.
Yeah.
But just enough action to scare the hell out of you. And at the same time let you know that you was in a war zone.
Then do you think, honestly, that being over there in Vietnam had anything to do with your drug addiction?
Well, you know, being a young man raised in the neighborhood, you have a tendency to want to try things, a little drinking here, or maybe smoke a joint here. Nothing strenuous, nothing out of the ordinary. Kids will be kids. But when I went to Vietnam, it was an abundance of alcohol and drugs. You could buy a quart of liquor for 75 cents. You know, the marijuana grew on trees. And you could just go by and just grab a bunch of it and just hold it, let the sun dry it out, roll it up and smoke it. Or you could go through the towns and they were selling buckets of pills. The heroin was real cheap. You know, $6 or $7 for $100 worth of pure heroin that you could mix with something. I mean,
now I know I had asked you that, did your time in Vietnam, did it affect you? And you said it did, but you hid it.
Right.
Why? Why did you hide it?
Well, you know, being mentally ill isn't always looked at as positive in the community. You know, when you got the shakes, you know, when you scared of loud noises, or you get somebody sneaks up behind you, you get real angry with them, or you snap on people and things like that. And so you just try to stay away from people. You isolate to stay away from people because you don't want this to come out, because once it comes out, black people get into the diagnosing mode and want to figure out what's wrong with you, then start trying to connect the dots.
Yeah.
You know, as we was talking earlier, I did not go into Vietnam a drug addict, but I came out a drug addict because of the availability and also the need. You know, I was a normal person in an abnormal situation. And so I had to deal with that abnormality of the condition. And so the best way I could do that was to be there, but not be there.
Yeah.
The hallucination, the self-hallucination process.
So how did they treat you when you came home? Because this is, you know, I don't want to make this all about your Vietnam, but, you know, they said that soldiers were spit on and disrespected, and you just didn't get...
It wasn't the parade that the other veterans received coming from Korea or Germany or some of the others. When we came home, they actually looked down on us like we had did something wrong, and I couldn't understand it. You know, I didn't understand the politics of it. I was 19 years old. Hell, why should I have to figure something out like that? And so when I came home, it was like not only did they disrespect us, throwing things at us and calling us names and things, but when I got back to my hometown and went to the VA act like they didn't want nothing to do with us. And they wouldn't give us, I won't say access to treatment, but the treatment that we received was not like they do today. Thank you for your service.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they could give a good, whatever about our service. And plus, being a black veteran too, I remember my father going to Korea, and then when he came home from the service, they gave him a home in the projects. The white boys got 235 homes. They got mortgages and everything.
What year was that?
50? Probably in the 50s.
Yeah.
Because Daddy would have been 21 or 22 when I was born. So he would have been just out of the Korean War or something. So
now these are just facts that you're saying.
Right.
It's not about, because people, if you just bring up race in America, people get
they get
upset. They get queasy.
But they might as well get over it.
Yeah.
Because imagine how we feel having to deal with the racism they want to act like doesn't exist. I don't want white folks to be offended, but if you are, then you need to try to figure out why. You need to read the whole story. I was always told in the rooms, play the tape, play the whole tape all the way back.
Yeah.
Look at how we even got to this point. You upset with me because I don't want to just accept the racism. You get mad at me because I don't want to accept it and want to expose it, and that's all. You don't have any of the mental, physical, spiritual, or psychological consequences of being raised in a racist society.
So you get out of Vietnam, you go back to your home town. Where's your hometown? Where'd you grow up?
Lexington, Kentucky.
What do you do then? You get married?
Yeah, I got married, and that didn't work out so well because my wife was basically afraid of me. Sleeping up under the bed, being out on the patio, pulling guard duty, all of them little weird, things that veterans with PTSD. But back then, it was no PTSD. It didn't come about till like the 80s. So you either shell-shocked or you suffer from battle fatigue. But if you was a black person, nigga, you just crazy. And basically, the VA almost said the same thing, because they didn't know what to do. Because they was facing this racial bias where they already looked at us like something was wrong. We were dysfunctional anyway. So we already fit the narrative. I remember one of my sergeants said, well, you mad because you're on the front line? Well, hell, why do you think we chose black soldiers to put them on the front line? Because you was raised in environments that prepared you for the front line.
Wow.
So.
Okay, so let's kind of bring it up a little bit. Because I want to ask you about something. A lot of men, most of the people who watch my channel, they're 45 and up. A lot of men over here, they're having trouble with dating. What's it like? I know you're married now. How long have you been married?
We've been married now for 3 years.
So you 3 years.
We got married at 70.
You got married when?
My third time.
Oh, you were 70 years old.
Right.
Oh, okay, yeah. Now, how old is your wife, if you don't mind?
Same age I am. She'll be 73 in May. I'm turned 73 in February.
Okay. So, until you met her, what was dating like for you as a 69-year-old man?
Well, it was a lot of ups and downs, and it's like a search procedure. I mean, searching And a lot of times you ain't even searching. You're just having fun, and the woman just happens to be in the process of you having fun or whatever. So, but I had a good time.
So were you dating women your age, or you were dating women younger? What is your preference?
Well, I didn't have no problem. All the above. I had one that's younger, 17 years younger than me.
Yeah.
And then had some that were older than me. And so I just basically just dated.
Yeah. So what about the intimacy as we get older? Because that's one thing that scares me about getting older, that I'm going to lose my mojo. You know what I'm saying?
Well, your mojo wasn't designed to last forever.
Right, but I mean, when you get married at 70, what's that like? I mean,
your level of intimacy changes. Where we used to be more into getting it in there and doing whatever we had to do and then getting it out. Now everything counts. The hugging, the touching, the kissing, all of that counts.
Yeah.
Before that all was like a prelude. That was like the foreplay into the eventual act, and then that lasts for a minute, and then you're out there, and then like poof. But at this age, everything counts. Everything is part of the process.
So I guess what I'm really trying to get at is, you said your wife is 70. How sexy is your wife at 70? Are women still sexy?
Yes, they are as sexy as you allow them to be. They feed off your energy, you feed off theirs, and that's where the compatibility comes in at. I've had some younger girls that were, they were built, they were just had all the boxes checked. But they wasn't satisfying, they wasn't, appealing or whatever.
So has anything surprised you at this point as far as a relationship is concerned?
Well, my level of...
Because you wasn't always 70, you wasn't always 73.
Right. My level of appreciation for the total woman, because sometimes we have a tendency to see only that in a woman that's necessary to satisfy the part of us that we need satisfying. Well, now I see the total. And I thank God that I'm now able to. The mind, the spirit. I had to get a woman that was almost totally compatible. My politics, my level of spirituality, the intimacy level, what was appealing and what's not appealing, what we like to do, the traveling, the partying, to what degree, the way our home is built, the way it's maintained, all of that we kind of meet each other right there at the middle. When we moved into the home, it was like something we were talking about bringing things into this space that we had to share together. Something me, something you, something African, and then something new. So it had to represent our culture. It had to represent both of us. And then we were free to go out together and bring in new stuff, but we did it together.
Yeah, let me ask you something. Now you think, because he's a cancer survivor, do you think your bout with cancer had anything to do with your appreciation of not only women, but of life?
Of life. Well, every day brings you a new level of appreciation for life. Just the fact that you woke up and able to see another day in good standing where nothing's wrong. What cancer did was reminded me, look, don't get too far ahead of yourself, because sometimes you can build yourself up, and not saying it's not proper to do so, but sometimes you can get a little ahead of yourself and forget that you're still expendable. We all born with an expiration date. That's one thing we know for sure. We don't know when or how, but your ass is going away from here. And so when I got the cancer, it stopped me in my tracks. And it made me do a self-assessment, evaluation, and all that. Like, what did I do wrong? What did I do to deserve this? How did I get cancer?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was like a wake-up call. And now I spend a lot of time trying to eat right, you know, think right, do my little exercises, and being around the right people that can nourish your spirit, that are nourished, that do right in you. You know, but it kind of jolted me, scared me, and, you know, because I just never could see myself with cancer. I never could see myself a drug addict. I never could see myself in Vietnam either. But
Did you take chemotherapy, radiation?
I took 38 radiation treatments to my neck, and then I took 8 chemo treatments. So
How long has you been in remission?
it's going on 5 years, October the 28th.
Yeah, congratulations, man.
Thank you.
And you said you got all this through VA, right?
Right.
You said that's one of the good things about having VA.
Being a veteran now,
Yeah.
as opposed to back then, back in the early 70s, it's totally different, you know, the experiences. And, you know, I want to say not only has it been a blessing, but maybe that I may have had something to do with that, because I refuse to accept less than the treatment that I require.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it's the way that I asked for the treatment, the way that I thanked the people, the way that I treated the people while they were treating me, because some of the people didn't want to treat me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some people wanted to be angry, but I refused to let them be angry, not only for me, but for the veteran that's coming after me.
That's right.
You know.
And by you being my brother, I can say how far he's come. We're sitting in your, I would guess this would be your basement of this, probably one of the nicest houses I've ever been in before. How big is this house?
What, 36, they say 3,900 square foot on the deed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I don't know if they count my entertainment room or not, or if that space was included.
That's basically, he's got his own nightclub in there. And I'm going to show y'all that after the interview. I'll just go in and show you. He's got a beautiful home. And he got a lot of his degrees hanging behind us. What would you tell somebody out there who's struggling right now, who's giving up and think, you know, maybe it's too late for me. I'm 42, I'm 52 or whatever it is.
And my question would be, why are you giving up? Because until the day you die, you're gonna live. And if you're gonna live, you might as well live doing something worth living for. You might as well be a legacy. Look at your life and ask yourself, is this the legacy I want to leave? Because it's not really about you. Once you left your legacy, it's for everybody else to see. Now, I had the choice. George Moorman could have been a crackhead. He died and participating in a robbery or OD'd or anything. But no, George Moorman gets to die being Dr. George Moorman, with years of service and sacrifice to his fellow man. He eventually took care of his family. I paid back child support, back taxes, court fees. I don't owe anybody anything except love and respect. So just ask yourself, is this the legacy that I want to leave? In 5 years, what am I going to be doing if I'm not dead? Am I going to be doing the same thing that I'm doing now? So we all born with an expiration date. Don't know when it's coming, so we should all live toward that final. Live like there's no tomorrow, but there is.
Yeah, I want to, because, you know, a lot of my viewers, they're travelers.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that you've done since you've been retired.
Right.
How many countries have you been to?
Let's see, Santo Domingo, the Bahamas, Nassau, that's Bahamas, right?
Africa.
Africa, Puerto Rico. Did I mention Santo Domingo?
How many cruises did you do?
Three
Three cruises.
major cruises.
Crackheads don't take cruises though, do they?
Oh no, unless they're on the back of the police cruiser. And cruising the police cruiser on their way to jail.
But you fly first class though, I mean business class.
Yes, business class.
Yeah.
First class, mostly
Yeah.
in the States, because it's too expensive to try to fly first class overseas.
I just want people to see
The best I deserve, the
Yeah.
best for me. And now I'm able to afford it. I had enough clean time to where I was able to rebuild my life and clean up what I messed up. You know, and amass a slight little personal, I won't say fortune, but
yeah.
enough for me to sustain a reputable and also quality state of life.
But I know this house is way up there.
Mm-hmm.
I would say probably close to $500,000. I would say. I'm not trying to put it out there. That's my guess. Don't tell us how much it is. I'm just guessing myself. And in the neighborhood that he lives in. Okay? Ain't no Pookies and Ray Rays out here. You gotta have money to live out here. But it's very impressive. And I just want, the reason I'm saying that is because I want people to see your transition.
Right.
From the streets to the boardrooms now. You know, I'm proud of you, man. That's why I always talk about you on my channel. You know, now I got to meet him face to face. Dr. George Moorman. You know, alcoholism and drug addiction runs rampant in our family, but we broke the cycle.
Right.
See, we can show the people coming behind us, you don't need that.
Right. Right.
To have a good time, to be successful, to have nice things. Right?
That's right. And all it takes is, one of the things it takes is having the right attitude, developing the right attitude, the outlook, having a dream, hope. You know, if there's one thing that you've always tried to expound on was the hope, the future of mankind. It all starts with you, you know, and so I'm just trying to leave a good legacy. I have grandkids and kids, and so all they've been able to see is the new me.
Yeah.
Some don't even have an idea how I used to be.
That's right.
Until I tell them the story.
Well, thank you so much. And just to end it, I'm just going to kind of pan around. I do want to go in your... He's got a nightclub, ladies and gentlemen, in his house. I've never seen it before. You know, now is that something that you did on your own, or it came like that?
Yeah, it's supposed to be a storage room, or either I could have made it I could have put a whole movie theater in there. But then, after my wife bought me the big screen TV here, I decided to make it this whole area social area.
Now, for somebody that doesn't drink, I'm going to show you how he's got a pretty, that bar is pretty stocked.
Yep, and that's on
and also in the little bar in there, you've got ice machine, beer, you got wine everywhere over here.
Right, and we do a lot of entertaining, me and my wife. I belong to 3 organizations, Kappa Alpha Psi, the Yearlings Club, and then also sat on a couple of boards for the governor, but my wife's involved in a couple of female organizations, so we have company a lot.
Now, I know your wife's retired. What kind of work did she do before she retired?
She was a systems analyst for a company that ran 8 hospital systems. She was the senior computer coding analyst, you know, and so she had set up an office upstairs. And
so she's still working?
No, they want her to come back, so she'll probably do a little part-time here and there, but yeah, she can write her own ticket. She's been writing for the last 20, 30 years.
Well, that's good. Well, thank y'all so much for stopping by. If you're in America, in the Philippines, Thailand, wherever you are, find in your heart to help somebody. Not a day goes by that I don't help somebody. I believe that's in our family because I know all the volunteer work you've done over the years. Because if I don't know anything else, I know this one thing for sure. We help other people, we help ourselves. Take care, stay safe, stay out of trouble. I'll see you next time. Don't do anything stupid. Don't waste your life away. Leave a legacy for your kids, your grandkids, for yourself. Live until you die.
Mm-hmm. God bless you, but most importantly, bless yourself.
Let me show y'all some stuff. This is, well, that's all 5 of your degrees. That's all 5 of his degrees, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, this guy used to frequent crack houses on a regular basis, right? Look at that bar he's got. But I want to show y'all something in here. Can you cut these lights on in here, LaGeorge?
Oh, the lights.
Oh, okay, wait. Now, he's got his own nightclub in here. It's just, imagine, now we're downstairs. I'm not going to show you his whole house, but I did want to show y'all this. This is crazy right here, right? He's got the Siri over here. She'll turn on any music you want to hear, but...
Power on. Bluetooth mode.
Yeah, this is crazy right here, man. So take care, everybody. I just want to motivate you guys. And nobody better to do that than Dr. George Moorman. From the crack house to the schoolhouse, from a disgrace to an amazing grace.